Republicans are picking up a big victory in the closely watched Pennsylvania Senate count, and Democrats don't like it. So the state Supreme Court there already has ordered counties to stop counting all of those ballots that were disqualified. They're undated, they're misdated, mail-in ballots. And now they've done it for a second time because there's a recount going on. Democrats are openly admitting they don't care about the law. They don't care about their state Supreme Court. They're going to count illegal ballots anyway because they need the numbers. Well, watch as they try to defend it.
Not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it. And there is nothing more important than counting votes.
The New York Post editorial board claims Pennsylvania Democrats are openly opposing democracy. Well, you saw that commissioner. She doesn't care. She's like the honey badger of commissioners. Here's a quote. Democratic officials in Pennsylvania are finally saying it out loud. Election denial is an unconscionable existential threat to democracy, unless a Republican wins, in which case it's fine to ignore the law and overturn it. Emily,
totally. This
makes me lose my mind. I'm not going to lose my grace over it, but she really does annoy me just flouting it like this. And nobody even, the other commissioners don't even correct her. Don't even say, we're not law-breaking, we're not criminals. They're rolling with her, die hard.
That's right. The audacity, the flippancy with which she says, apparently it doesn't matter anymore in this country. What exactly do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, council member? What does anymore mean? What does precedence mean? Tell me exactly what you're talking about, because the last time I checked, all of the activist judges under this administration's watch who rendered opinions that were totally outside the bounds of constitutionality and precedence got it slammed back. They got slapped back to the bench with every Supreme Court issuance and higher court ruling that let them know, no, you are actually dead wrong when you try to divert from precedence. The thought that one human can come and buck what this nation stands upon, which is the rule of law, actually, and the deviation that has occurred is only under their watch, and it's by people like that. And the fact that resoundingly the Supreme Court of that state, inevitably SCOTUS, and hopefully the Attorney General of that state and the DOJ as well, will come knocking at her door to let her know that not only is it audacious and ridiculous, but ma'am, it's criminal.
There you go. Oh my gosh, okay, so that's our show for today, bye. Look, Charles, we know what they think, those Democrats, that commissioner. We know what they think of Trump voters, that they think they can identify with flags and hats and T-shirts because they call them things like deplorable and garbage and Nazis. And that was the VP candidate, Tim Walz. You know, everybody at MSG for Trump, those were Nazis and so on and so forth. So what do they call their own people when they don't agree? Because some of those Democrats voted for Trump.
A lot of them did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. You know, we know what they think of Republicans. What do they think of self-interest and independent Democrats? Well, I guess we're finding out.
Yeah, misguided, dumb, fool, you know, suckered, whatever, or misogynist, you know, whatever. They've got a whole checklist of names, but they are calling them names. There's no doubt about that. They're not calling them fellow citizens or people who had the ability to just make up their own minds, right, based on the evidence and their own life's experiences. You know, it's just, I'm just not shocked. I think the shocking thing is I'm not shocked about this, that the hypocrisy that we heard throughout the entire campaign, that I knew would be the exact opposite, that I knew that these folks were deflecting and that push come to shove, they would be acting the way that they said Donald Trump would act if he lost, that they would be pulling stunts that they said never existed. You know, these sort of things. We know they exist. We know they've existed for a long time. And for a long time, a lot of Americans had to take a lot of heat for being able to say, hey, something didn't seem right. This all just using your cognitive abilities. But we're seeing it firsthand, and I'm not shocked, and that's really sad.
Yeah. I mean, those names, they have to be calling those Democrat voters who helped that 17,000 vote spread between Bob Casey, the long-term incumbent Democrat in Pennsylvania, and Dave McCormick. I mean, what do they hate their own people, their own voters, because they're willing to flout the law to crush the will of the people?
Yes, they are. And I mean, serious question here. How many court rulings does it take for Democrats to obey the law? So far, we have 2. We will see what they do. We could get another statement like the one, we're ready to flout the law. We don't know what this lady or these individuals in Bucks County and the 3 other counties are going to do. They have been told categorically for a second time, you shall comply. It took 12 lawsuits from the RNC and Republicans to get this done. I thought you cared about courts. I thought you cared about the rule of law. I thought you cared about democracy. How many times have we heard that? I thought you cared about the integrity of the vote count. But when push comes to shove, you apparently don't.
What
would have happened?
Also mentioned chime in?
Yes. Well, finally he did, Governor Shapiro.
Yeah.
But do you think Shapiro would have chimed in earlier if Bob Casey had won and this was Republicans? No. Would the county commissioners have done this if Bob Casey had won? Of course they would not. But now we will see what they will do. Do you care about the rule of law? We will see. Took 12 lawsuits and 2 court rulings.
So all fantastic points about what people have said and what Republicans have done. But Governor Josh Shapiro hasn't done anything. I mean, he actually has the ability to do more than what he's doing.
Yeah, and people came out of this election season, and I think a lot of people had respect for him. And so he sort of
Everybody but Kamala Harris.
Well, exactly. And it could have been the nail in the coffin for her. That's been reported over and over again about why didn't she choose this man? So he had capital that I think he wasted, and he's continuing to waste right now. So I think he came out with an anemic statement, right? But the thing, I've said this on this couch before, and I think it bears repeating. Forgive me for the indulgence of me. But when it comes to the left, they are all about projection. So they're always doing the thing that they accuse the right of doing. That's more to your point, Charles. But over and over again, democracy, integrity of our votes. Well, that commissioner, you know what? I can tell you something that's more important than counting every vote. Counting every legal vote. That's the whole idea. That is the inherence to rule of law that defines this country as distinctly American.
Yeah, so why count the disqualified ones? There are not even that many of them.
Because they want to win. It's the whole ethos that we saw in COVID. It's rules for thee, but not for me, right? So if it can help them, they're all about power and projection. That is the name of the game of the left. So they're going to do that. If you want to question what the left is going to do, they're going to do what gives them power, and they're going to project. That's all you need to know, guys.
Well, that's why Pennsylvania chose Republican.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.